Hello, I'm Larry Cobb, truck specialist for Milton Cat, here to tell you about some nice features and benefits of the new Caterpillar CT660. We start right at the front with the tow hooks. The tow hooks are rated for 150,000 pound pull instead of 65 or 80,000 pounds on the competitors' trucks. So whether you get this thing stuck in the mud or you're yanking out a D6, you get something pretty substantial to grab onto. The bumper is all stainless steel and it's multi-piece. So if you ruin one wing, you can just replace the part that you've ruined. If you look at the competitors' trucks, some of them have some really nice bumpers, but they use regular hardware, and what happens after 6 months or a year is the rust starts to drip off of them. Caterpillar used stainless steel on this as well. The grille surround is all stainless steel. This will give you years of good looks, and again, it's a multi-piece so that you can replace just the part that you ruined rather than the entire grille. The competition uses either a painted grille or chrome rust, and the paint will chip. Stainless steel will look good for many, many years. When we come around to the side, there's a lot of value in the Caterpillar hood. First of all, it's a multi-piece hood. You've got this fender flare here, the headlight bucket, the main fender going up to this bonded seam, the main hood, and then of course the same thing on the other side. So if you ruin just one fender, you can replace just the parts that you've hit and ruined, rather than into a $5,000 or $6,000 hood. Also, the material is not fiberglass, it's made of a material called Metton, M-E-T-T-O-N. It's 7 times stronger than fiberglass and it's more crack resistant and a better finish. If you look at the competitors' trucks that have been out in the field, you'll notice that they're cracked at the fender flare, at the hood support, and also around at the hinge point. They all do it. This will give you long-lasting durability and crack resistance. Also, the curvature of this hood is not by accident. It was designed to give maximum visibility. When Caterpillar was designing this hood and cab combination, they set a laser camera up there and they measured the entire workspace that the driver can see. Then they took that same laser camera and did the same comparison with the competitive trucks to see what they could see. And Caterpillar has best-in-class visibility. That makes your driver safer, that makes the company safer. To illustrate this point, if I stand next to the grille and you're the driver sitting in the seat, you can see the top of my head and you know that I'm standing here. If I step away 3 or 4 or 5 feet, and this is a long-nosed competitor's truck, you still can't see me. And that's a huge margin of safety that you're giving up with those competitive brand trucks. Caterpillar uses a 54-inch setback axle. That's from the front of the bumper to the center of the axle. This gives you maximum articulation, and with certain wheel, tire, and axle combinations, you can get up to 50 degrees of articulation. And with more articulation, that makes this more maneuverable so that you can get into where you need to be to dump the load rather than jigging 2 or 3 times. By doing it in one maneuver, you save tires, you save clutch, you save brakes, all adding to the bottom line and the cost of ownership. The mirrors are cowl mounted, not on the door. Typically when a driver gets into a competitor's truck, gets in, slams the door, and then he has to roll down the window and readjust his mirrors because they're mounted on the door and they're impacted by the door slam. With Caterpillar, we mounted them on the cowl so that the door slam is not impacting the mirror adjustment. Also, these mirror arms are all powder coated for rust protection. They're also LED lit on the forward side, and there's also a directional on the back side so that if the truck is at an intersection, the person next to him can see which way he's going. Also, these mirrors are heated and they're motorized side to side, up and down, to give the driver maximum visibility, including the convex mirror. The door handle is called a beer tapper door handle. So even with a pair of gloves on, I can reach in and open up this door. And it's a much more natural, fluid motion. Just reach in, pull it back, and open up the door. With the competitors' brands, it's actually 3 motions, and you do it with your fingertips. You actually have to reach in, pull out, over, and then open the door, or up to open the door. This is just a much more natural feel, and it's a big enough grip, again, so you can use the gloves. The steps on the CT660 are a 7-inch design and highly aggressive. They're also spaced like a set of steps and not over each other like a ladder, making this a much safer vehicle for entry and egress. Everybody that's got in and out of trucks in their career has come down and missed the first step because it's either slippery or it's poorly placed. The Caterpillars are about 19-inch, evenly spaced to get in, so it's a much more natural step to get in and out of the truck. By being aggressive, the snow or ice or water comes off of your boots and goes down through it rather than building up on it. From a workman's comp standpoint, this is a very important feature. The cab is an all-aluminum design for many, many years of good looks. Other manufacturers still use steel cabs or steel and fiberglass. Being all aluminum, you'll never face any rust issues. Before we talk about the engine, it's worth noting that the hood has a gas assist shock helping in opening it as well as closing it, eliminating it slamming down on the cowl. The engine is a CT13. In this particular truck, it's 475 horse at 1,700 pounds of torque. The unique feature about that is that 1,700 pounds is happening at 1,000 RPMs. So that makes this a great lugging engine. What that means to the driver is you've got a nice high torque, low RPM engine. So as you're cresting that hill, you can lug it right down to 1,000 RPMs and it'll take the hill rather than chasing a downshift. Some of the other neat things about this is there's no fluid exchange between the block and the head. There's no antifreeze or oil passing between the two components, thereby eliminating a potential weak spot. And as everybody knows, in the last 20 years, everybody's had head gasket problems. This eliminates that potential weak spot. The Caterpillar CT13 does not require urea. So that means as a business owner or a driver, they don't have to worry about keeping that urea tank full. Caterpillar cleaned up the emissions within the combustion chamber, eliminating having to deal with urea. The Caterpillar CT13 also uses a twin turbo design. So rather than having one turbo screaming at 20 or 30,000 RPMs, you've got two turbos operating at a lower RPM, a lot quieter. The block on the Caterpillar CT13 is made of compacted graphite iron instead of cast iron. Compacted graphite iron is stronger, it's lighter, but it's also quieter. It has better sound insulation qualities. The transmission is a Caterpillar CX31 automatic transmission. The nice unique thing about that is it gives you 3 PTO openings. If you're looking at the back of the transmission, there's one at 1 o'clock, one at 8 o'clock, and an industry first in the back of the transmission. Now that rear PTO on that transmission is rated for up to 250 horsepower. You could drive or run a cement mixer, concrete mixer off of that rear PTO. Right now, McNeilus Concrete Mixers is looking into that to make their installation a lot easier, and maintenance in the future would be a lot easier off of that transmission. This transmission has also been compared to Allison's 4000 series, and we can get 1 to 5% better fuel mileage because of its design and its efficiencies. Also, this Caterpillar transmission is serviced right here at Milton Caterpillar and all Caterpillar dealers, making it easy for parts and service. The cab air ride system is specifically designed for a vocational application. Other manufacturers put a single or dual airbag in the center of the cab, allowing the cab to rock sideways on uneven terrain. The Caterpillar design puts an airbag and shock to the outer corners, stabilizing it and making it a much more natural motion on its hinge points. Caterpillar uses a 12¼ frame rail instead of a 10 3/4 as a standard. The 12 1/4 allows us to build many trucks of different applications with a heavy single frame instead of a double frame. So with a heavy single frame, it eliminates the rust, the weight, and the expense of the double frame. Working on the HVAC system in a truck is always a challenge. In other manufacturers, they place the system either outside the firewall, underneath the dash, or a combination of both. So the technician either needs to stand up on top of the tire or stand on his head and work underneath the dash. The CT660 places the HVAC system underneath the passenger seat. Let me show you. You just take out these screws, remove the cover, and now the technician is looking at the fan motor, the heater core, the AC evaporator, and all the sensors and switches in the HVAC system. The CT660 only comes with a premium cab package. That means you're going to get a stereo with 4 speakers, robust rocker switches that make a very distinct sound when you turn them on and turn them off, and you can use gloves to operate them, full gauge package, the storage above and behind. You're going to get all your CB hookups as well as the antenna, tilt and telescoping steering column, power windows, power door locks, and a comfortable air ride seat, which gives you 3 lumbar support adjustments, as well as twin adjusting armrests. And speaking of the seat, once that's adjusted, the operator has adjusted his steering wheel. He has full view of all of his gauges, which is unique because on other brands, usually the steering wheel cuts off 2 or 3 of the gauges. So he has full view of the gauges, keeping him in more control and better understanding and alerting him to any potential problems. With the premium cab package, you also get the premium sound insulation package, which comes standard. That means that it's a quieter cab. Also, it's protecting the driver against heat and cold, making this a much more comfortable environment to work in. As an added benefit to owning a CT660, you'll receive a free 3-year subscription to ProductLink. Through ProductLink, this will allow the fleet owner or fleet manager to monitor the vehicle's usage, idle time, fuel consumption, and through geofencing, his position, all from the convenience of his office computer. There's one more feature that's most important about this new Caterpillar CT660, and that's the unmatched parts and service support that you'll receive from your Caterpillar dealer. Thank you, and I hope you found this helpful.